Business Magazine, you'll hear firsthand experiences from business people who, no matter how diverse they all have one thing in common. They have started their own businesses and made them succeed.
Well, both ultimately mean exposure for the client. Advertising is the client themselves saying, we are great, you know, we offer X, Y, and Z service. And public relations is really a third party saying that the client is great. Our job is to get a newspaper reporter or television or radio reporter to do a story on a client to say that X, Y, and Z client offers this kind of service. That's the primary difference, that you're getting a third-party endorsement with public relations.
I'll tell you, I was a businessman when I opened my first restaurant, which was downstairs. In the hot summer night, business was kind of slow, and I had my car parked right in front. And I walked out of the restaurant and stood by my car, and I looked up, and there was the sign that said Duke Ziebert's Restaurant. I said, what a great country. What a wonderful country, Duke Ziebert, because I came from humble beginnings.
Well, here again, it was opportunity. I was working at the insurance company. I edited a house magazine. The president of the company was getting older, didn't want to read as much, so he gave me the job of reading newspapers and magazines and giving him a digest of what was happening each week. I thought I did a good job, he thought I did a good job, and I would often mention to friends certain articles I had read, and they said, how can I get those articles? And so I knew about Reader's Digest, so it occurred to me, perhaps people would buy a Negro Digest. Now, I must confess that I was motivated primarily by money, because I was making $50 a week and I wanted to make $200. And that really was my goal at the time. So I went into business because I was not getting ahead fast enough at the insurance company. Perhaps if I had been a vice president, or if they paid me $200 a week, or even $150 a week, I wouldn't have been so dissatisfied.
I don't think I've ever enjoyed my life as much now, because nothing was handed to us. I mean, I really feel like we did something that, you know, where all the odds were against us and came out on the other end. And, you know, I'm not saying that you can never expect that success is going to last forever, but, you know, we've known now we can go through the worst and come out of it much better. And so I just don't think that you could ever ask for anything that will give you more self-confidence in that.
Well, the whole nature of entrepreneurship, the Greek derivative for entrepreneurship is risk-taker. So I was willing to take a reasonable amount of risk, but thank God Ford Motor Company was involved in the picture. And I felt with their support and the support of other major customers such as GM and Chrysler, that we could put together a management team that could turn the business around.
The moment that you decide that you are unemployable, I think, is the moment that you recognize that you must be an entrepreneur. And unemployable means that you recognize that there is something beyond what you do from 9 to 5 for someone else that you would choose to do for yourself. And to that extent, you are not only unemployable, but you're unmanageable. And so it's your best bet to move on into doing your own business.
You have to prove something. You have to prove that it can be made, the product, at a particular cost. You have to prove the marketability of the product, in the case of the movie, whether there's an audience for it. Even where you can't prove it, you have to have a credible story, something people will believe, something you believe. That's how you get money. And you also have to have a good reputation for honesty, veracity, and you have to have done it. That's the frustrating part. They won't give you experience, but they want experience in the field. So when you start a new business, you need a lot of faith.
Well, I think the first thing is to make sure you have enough capital to stay in business the first couple of years, where you don't get too hungry and where you go out and maybe get away from your core business idea. I find that a lot of people start out with a great idea for a business, and then things don't go as well as they think they're going to go in the beginning, and they lose patience, and they go out and they diversify away from their core business because opportunities come that don't quite fit. And then 2 or 3 years later, they really don't have anything. You know, they've done a little of this, they've done a little of that, they haven't really developed any expertise. So I think that people can just stay focused and try to be an expert at what they do in their core business. Then they can be successful.
To me, I would say it's a blessing because of the fact that I have someone that understands the hours that I have to put in, because when you're trying to even be successful or when you even have anything, in order to maintain it, you have to be there to care for it. And basically that means time, and time is very precious to a relationship. And I guess being that he's in the same business, that helps because of the fact that I understand his hours just as well as he understands my hours, and we know what it takes to keep it and to maintain it, and that helps a great deal because we understand each other's time. We understand how tired we are when we get home because we've been standing up all day, and it helps. It helps a lot. It's a blessing.
The supermarket business is a great business in terms of volume and doing a lot of business, but in terms of profitability, it's terrible. Your supermarket owner makes about 2% before taxes or 1% after, or put it another way, for every dollar's worth of sales, he makes 1 penny worth of profits. So it's a very low margin business, again, with a lot of moving parts. And as you heard me say before, we had about 1,000 employees. We had about, I guess, 40 vehicles. And it was just a lot of aggravation. And after I came back from the government, I decided we'd get into a more profitable type of business.
I want you to know I'm not bragging here today. I feel good because I know where I come from. I know how I got there. And I feel good about the fact while walking there, I never cheated, misused, abused anyone to get anything. The only thing I abused was the clock. I worked hard and long. My grandmama said the only way to beat work, to kill work, is to work it to death. And that's the way I try to do. She always said you can't worry about nothing because worrying is like a rocking chair to give you something to do, but it won't get you anywhere.